Hey, what is up everybody? Sorry I'm a bit late. Things have been super rushed this morning. Okay, what are we doing today? Today we're gonna motorize this. And I noticed it has been motorized already. Some basic motorization by some people, but we're gonna do something a little bit more elaborate. Obviously we're gonna make the wings flap, or try to make the wings flap on their own, but I also want to add some kind of movement of the entire thing on the stand. So we'll see what we can do about that. So yeah, let's just jump right in. First, I'll take the space babies off, because we don't need those. They're going to fall off anyway. But we're going to have to do some major redesign to this right off the get-go. Now, if we just look at this and decided we wanted to motorize it, we could have just stuck an arm on this and had some kind of crank or piston system to actually pull it back and forth. But there's actually a lot of tension in the spring. And I already know that just having a motor try and control this as it is, it's not going to end very well. It's just like too much force for the motor to overcome to pull the wings down. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the spring, and I also want to rigidly connect the trigger switch and the arms controlling the wings. And then we'll probably, actually I think I'll just remove the trigger switch completely. And we'll stick an arm out down the middle here to control the wings, and then that will be rigidly connected to the trigger, which will control the tail. And then of course we'll completely rebuild the stand so that we have some way to mount the motors, and also because I do want to try and get this to actually like go up and down in some way. But we'll see. I have not prepared for this at all, so we'll see what we get. Oh, Bill's the only one in the chat. Excellent. Would be your first motor-driven string. Yeah, it might be the first thing I've done with strings in it, with motors. We shall see. Yeah, I think that might be right. Well, Alex, hello. Dave Hedges in the house. Motorizing this will be a real challenge. Yeah, maybe. Actually, I think motorizing the basic flapping won't be too hard, but we'll see. But first we have to do some major surgery. And hopefully we'll be able to remember how to put it back together. I do have the instructions, so but I want to remove the spring and I want to replace the spring, so I do need to have access to, I want to try and do this as minimal as possible. But we'll see how that works. Actually, I don't even think I need to remove those, but I think we will need to remove the plates on the bottom for sure, because we want a gap here for something to come out. Oh, our hamburgers in the chat. Welcome. Thought for a minute I might be modless today. It'd be like the Wild West out here. Okay, so far so good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And actually we're just gonna, I guess we'll take the string away too. Oh, Mike H. Hey from Windy, UK. Awesome. Nuna Cruz, hello. Oh, yeah, Alex and David are in the house. Excellent. Okay, so now we have... Oh, excellent. That just popped off in kind of one piece, which is really good. I'm going to separate the spring. We'll get an axle to I mean, I'm probably going to have to do more. Push that axle out. At least that way we can isolate this. And I think I would like to connect the top of this. I would like the connection to be inside the actual machine. So we're going to connect the top of this with the top of this, which actually means we need to completely disconnect them. I have a feeling this is going to need to be pretty much entirely rebuilt. So I'm going to take the anchor for the spring out, and we're going to replace it with these Technic lift arms that come up a bit higher. So the old ones use these 2 long half lift arms, but we're going to go 3 long half lift arms. We're going to shove them all to one side, and then we're going to have a lift arm connecting the top of them to the trigger at the back. Now I should have paid attention to what angle I need this at. I'm pretty sure it goes from basically like horizontal to just up. Just know how long this needs to be, because it will affect things. And then underneath, coming out the bottom, I also want a control arm. So we'll need to get another one of those. I have a feeling we could potentially be changing some of these, but I'm just going to put a 5. I'm going to put these 2 5-stud long half lift arms underneath. That way we have a control arm that sticks out underneath. And then we will, of course, need to have a hole here in order for... So actually, I'm just going to build that up first. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a 4x6 there. We basically need a 4x6 with a hole in it, which sadly doesn't exist, but we can make one. Oh, my Archer. We were right, Bill, the Archer. The Archer had a string in it, but the string wasn't part of the motorization. Our hamburger. I'm curious how you want to come up with so much power from the mechanism. Yeah, I don't think we'll need much power, actually, once the spring is removed. The wings aren't that heavy. Oh, Itavix is in the house. Building a Kobe Opel Record Coupe C. Oh, sounds good. Oh, Dave Hedges also from the UK. Alex, your channel inspired me to make Duplo builds with working mechanisms with my 3-year-old nephews. Awesome. It's a fun challenge, and his face lights up. Wow, amazing. Apparently it's windy in the UK. Or less windy. Okay, so we need some parts. Okay. So I also want to make sure that, yeah, okay, I think that should work. So basically I have a 4x6 footprint here. I'm just using 1 2x4 plate and 2 1x4 plates. It might not be as strong, but that's okay. And then we will, oh, unfortunately this is all tied together, obviously. Start transferring this. Those go one behind the front. But I also want to remove the trigger completely as well, which I'm just going to push the whole thing through. Which thankfully is pretty easy to do. Pull it out the other side. So we're going to replace the trigger. Again, we don't need the trigger at all. So I'm gonna try and put another 3 stud. Apparently, I only had 3 of those in tan. And we will try and stick that in there. And these were oriented facing up, right? I'm just going to take the... Yeah, they were oriented facing up. When will they launch Duplo Technics? Actually, they do have gears. I bought, they have some kind of amusement ferry ride, no, amusement park, I don't know, which has legitimate plate gears in it, essentially the same as the plate gears in Duplo style. Basically has a couple of these in different sizes. I bought it for my niece last Christmas, or I think. No, 2 Christmases ago. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. When the age range on Technics is 13 to 16 and Duplo is up to 4, so. Alex guesses Duplo builds are illegal. Nothing is illegal. I'll tell you that. Okay, so we gotta get this 4x6 plate out of here. And we're going to replace it with our new 4x6 plate, which is not really a 4x6 plate. And then we'll put these back in to tie it all together. I just destroyed something. And actually, before I go too far in reassembling this, I do, oh yeah, put that on the wrong side. We do need to, oh yeah, see, so this lift arm I added in is not going to be long enough. I need at least a 7 long lift arm. Oh, which I do have in old brown. I do have in old brown, which is nice. Okay, so now these are rigidly attached. Actually, the length of that, I mean, it would be super happy accident if having it as a whole number of studs would work. But I am going to guess that it should be like just a touch shorter. Like 1.5 studs, or like half a stud shorter, which will be problematic. Yeah, it's hilarious that you say the only illegal builds are those that seem to stress the pieces. But I've definitely left a lot of models together with just the stud connections, like a 1x1 brick on top of another 1x1 brick, and they crack over time. So, you know, one would argue that that causes undue stress for some of the parts. Lego using illegal builds all the time. Okay, and we're also gonna, well, we're gonna pop out the spring completely, which thankfully is exposed on the side here with that axle, so that is good. Okay. And in theory, we can, I think we can add this in. We do need to add some bits back in first. Okay, we're just gonna do a temporary insertion. I think, what am I missing here? I believe I'm missing, still missing. Okay, we don't need that. Stand is going to be some plates. Interesting. Oh yeah, that, okay, all right. We have a couple brackets we need to add back in here. A couple brackets. And a couple of these. Might as well put all the decoration on while we remember. Should be one more, yeah. Quarter round plate or tile. Okay, now in theory, this should be able to slot in here. Yeah, so actually I guess that came off pretty well. Okay, but I'm actually just gonna hold it in. We're gonna stick the one wing on. We're gonna stick this back on. Oh yeah, as expected, the wings are too low relative to, the wings need to be quite a bit higher. So we need to do a little bit of modification there. So do you intend to make the trigger fixed and have the rest of the machine move around it? Ooh, excellent question. I mean, it depends how we build the stand and how we build the actual like flying motion. I guess the answer to the question is I don't know. I do not know yet. We're on a journey of discovery. Our first journey, we need to figure out how to make a lift arm like 6.5 studs long, which might be a challenge. What do I got in there? I'm just gonna get a bunch of bent lift arms. Ah, see? Now we're cooking. This is definitely a trick I've used before, is that if you use a bent lift arm, if you have the space for it, like the distance between the endpoints of a bent lift arm are, you know, crazy values. Or at least they're not whole numbers. For example, the distance between the 3x5 lift arm between is like 1, 2, 3 is like 4.5 studs. So if you need a 4.5 stud long, I mean approximately, not exactly. Probably, approximately. Actually, it looks pretty close. But if you need a 4.5 stud lift arm, you can actually just connect something with these two endpoints. Same with the 1x4 lift arm. It's actually like 1, 2, 3 and a, 3 1/4 or something. And then this bend lift arm, the distance between the endpoints, Ooh, it's actually like, it's like 6.5. So we're going to see if we can use this. Unfortunately, this has axle holes on the end, and these also have axle holes on the end. So that's going to be a problem. So we can't actually use these. So what are we going to do? So I think what we'll do, this end is fine. We can actually replace this one with a 5 long, but now we're going to pull this out again. So I'm going to replace it with a 5 long axle, or sorry, 5 long lift arm, and we're just going to anchor it to the half lift arms I have underneath. So now it's like one big lift arm, thick lift arm, and it's got an axle hole here, which will give us a control point. So now we can control it. Actually, I'm going to remove this. We might need some play in here. All right, so now we can control the wings with this. This one, unfortunately, we need to do something similar. Actually, we'll do... yeah, we can definitely do some trickery here. Amir, hello. M. Versale needs to replace those with regular Technic beams, I guess. Yeah, we do. Which is what we're trying to do here. But I'm going to need to pop this out again. And what we can do is we can, again, we'll just turn these so that they face underneath. We'll turn these so that they face underneath, and again, we'll get another 5 long lift arm. And we'll anchor it so that the round hole is facing up, and this is facing underneath. We'll stick that back in. Excellent. Okay. Oh, I guess I already had 2 of those. When you tackle this sort of mod, are you relying on previous Lego building experience, Mike H, or is there an engineering brain background you're drawing onto? At this point, it's just previous experience, pretty much. You know, knowing which parts exist. Well, of course, this lift arm has to extend, because it's bent, it has to extend underneath, which means I just have to, yeah, make some room for it to actually get in there. Okay, so now we have, oh yeah, excellent. So now those 2 control arms are closer together, probably like 6.5 studs. Okay, let's see how that looks. Yeah, I'd say a bit of both, but at this stage in my career, I haven't done any engineering things in like 30 years. I never really did while I was working anyway, so it's mostly just experience with building. Christopher, hey, please do not stop until it actually flies. Oh, we can make it fly. I'm pretty sure my arm can make it fly. Louise. His name is Jonas. Well, that's a terrible handle if your name is Jonas. Okay. Okay, we'll try this. We're just going to kind of hold it in place. Attach one wing. Oh yeah, much better. Oh, in fact, it could be a little tighter actually. But I think what we'll do, instead of, you know, I'm pretty happy with that lift arm distance. It works pretty well. The tail could still be a little bit tighter. You see, as the wings go all the way to the top, the string really slackens here. But I think what we can do is we can actually just adjust. We can actually bring the anchor point for this string on the tail like one stud forward. We'll just build this up a little bit to adjust that. So I think we're good. So I'm gonna, and actually once we tie this all in, it may adjust the spacing a little bit too. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I think we just need to bring, but now we have a control arm in the middle underneath instead of the trigger, which is essentially a trigger as well, but we've basically just moved the trigger, which is, seems like we went through some effort to do that. But trust me, it's going to make our life hopefully a lot easier. So I'm just going to reconnect the wings. And then obviously we still want, well, I guess the string is kind of redundant now. We don't need the string at all. But the string does look good. So actually it would be cool. Actually I should have used a different piece here. I should have used the L-shaped one. Which I think we can do. Can make it fly once immediately. Yep. Okay, actually I want something to connect the end of this string to. So I am actually going to pull the tail control axle out again. Oh, but this is so wedged in there. Can we actually take those out? I think we can make it work. Yeah. So I'm actually gonna take those out. I'm actually gonna replace one of them. Because right now we have nothing to control to, but I'm gonna replace one of them with a L-shaped 3x3 one. And hopefully, that's the wrong way. I want it this way. And then we need, oh my God. I think I had it right the first time. And then in theory we'll have something. I don't know what that's going to be. Actually, I'm going to stick an axle in here. Because again, I have a feeling we're going to want to add some things to this. Okay, the tan one is forward. Interesting. Tan is forward and it should be facing up. It's forward facing up. Why is that? Why did that not go back the way I expected it to be? Okay, first things first. We're going to stick this axle back in. Oh, unfortunately. Oh, also. Oh my God, third time's a charm. I did this twice already and it's wrong both times. Sadly, this is what happens when you build things off the cuff. Okay, I want that to be sticking out. Bottom. And I want that to be on that side. Oh, Alex went to the Wright Brothers Museum in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. They only needed to make it fly once too. Yep, absolutely. Once is all you need. Okay. Now we're cooking. And it should be on the bottom hole, yeah. Okay, we'll get this back in here somehow. That's because that's not the right hole. Okay. Yeah, so now we have this little exposed axle, which we can do something with. I don't know what, but hopefully it doesn't interfere with anything. Yeah, okay. Whatever, we'll call that good enough for now, and we'll hopefully be able to attach something to that. Okay. To attach the string to. And then we need to add tail. Oh. I had some spacers in here. Actually, I think if we just reverse the back thing here. Oh, it might actually be too tight. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's actually too tight. But we can definitely just play with the rotation of these. Oh, yeah, actually, that's really good. Oh yeah, excellent. So now we have good range of motion on both. One single control arm. Actually, in hindsight, I should have just made this lift arm mold like quite a bit longer. But we'll see. I'm not really sure how we're going to anchor that all yet. So we will see. And then for the string, if we stick a little we just need something to connect it to here, which you know, it doesn't have to, it can be anything pretty much. I'm just going to get this funky Technic connector. We'll put the string through it. It actually might be a little bit too tight. Actually, we won't put the string through it. We're just going to put a about half pin. And what was it anchored to with before? It was anchored with one of these guys. Oh, so there we go. We have the string anchored as well. Oh yeah, so that keeps the tension on the string. We're good to go. Okay, now we can put all this back together. This, I believe, went here. Then we had a couple other 2x3 tiles. That's not needed, unneeded, unneeded, unneeded. Actually, I think that was, oh, interesting. Was that all we had to take apart? Oh, that was actually pretty chill. Okay, so step one is complete. We basically just moved the trigger and remove the spring. So we have a control arm, more center mounted. Now in theory, we could just like attach a motor pretty much right here with a piston that would push the side back and forth. In fact, we can do that. Dave had just step one, make it attachable and still works. Yeah, the still works part is the biggest challenge of all that. How often do you think about Lego in your daily life percentage? Oh man, it's got to be quite high. Okay, this is gonna spin way too fast, but in theory, we can stick a motor on here somehow. Percentage-wise of waking hours, I mean, probably like 50%. Actually, maybe not. Maybe like 40%. I don't know. Again, as I said, this is gonna be way, way, way too fast. But it'll give us an idea. In fact, it is still quite a bit of force to push the wings up, so. Oh, actually, it's not even that bad. The range of motion is not full because I need a longer crank on that. I think a 3-long crank might be a bit too long, but I guess we'll see. We'll try 3-long crank. I mean 2.5, so we might have to get some cam pieces involved. Let's see how 3 works. Oh yeah, see, it pushes it too much. Yeah, 3 is too much shun. That's the maximum extent upwards of the wings. So actually that distance is pretty good, but coming back, it pushes it too far. Interesting. So one thing we can do, we can actually just anchor it further up the... Oh, but then it pulls it too far forward. Yeah. We're going to try a 2.5. So these 3 long axles will result in a radius of 2, basically. On the circle, these have a radius of 1. So we can go 2.5. So another good trick is to use these cam pieces because they have a axle hole mounted at basically 1.5 studs from this axle hole. So we can essentially, another trick for shortening distances. So if we stick it in that center axle hole, it's actually going to be 2.5. Or anyway, it's going to be actually 1.5 studs center hole to here. Instead of 2, which gives us a radius or a diameter of 3 on our... So now we get... It still pushes it a bit too far on the downswing and not enough on the upswing. So actually, we do need it to be like just a little bit different. But anyway, we'll worry about that later because we're not going to mount the motor here in this position anyway. So whatever mechanism we have for pushing this trigger back and forth will be mounted elsewhere, so we can adjust the spacing accordingly. But as a proof of concept, it definitely works and actually isn't even that stressful for the motor. But anyway, yeah, so we shouldn't waste any more time on that. Speed is right on. Yeah, actually the speed's pretty good. Bill, I don't even think 40% of the day. Oh, Jake is in the house. A fellow Da Vinci flying machine builder. He also had a failed or rejected ideas project. Actually, I don't think. I don't think either of ours made it to 10,000. I can't even remember actually. I know mine didn't make it to 10,000. Okay, but step 2, a whole different problem to solve is we want to make the machine actually like move up and down. And instead of just moving up and down, in my original model, in this guy, I just had it move straight up and down as it was flying. But we want to do something a little bit more elaborate. And it's still squeaky. Somebody asked about lubricating Technic. I definitely do lubricate Technic. Our Hamburg, isn't Crystal sometimes annoyed that you talk too much about Lego? Well, thankfully she's out of the house for like 40% of the day, so that's usually when I mostly talk about Lego. Or think about Lego. Jake also really likes the cloth pieces. Yeah, they're really, really nice. Oh, Brian the Brick is in the house. Excellent. Joey McBob Lego. Can't wait to see you pull this off. Oh, Jake, nope, didn't make it to 10K. Yeah, it's a shame. Clearly, it was a great idea. Although I don't actually know how well this is going to sell, but I think it's a great idea. Obviously, you think it's a great idea. Brian, did it actually fly? In real life? No, it did not fly. Apparently, he had one of his buddies try it out and broke a leg. Back in the day. SciTech Tech, what lubricant do you use? I use PTFE. Or silicone. Mostly I use PTFE. Like spray lubrication. I usually don't like spray the Lego. I spray it out onto like a piece of plastic or like yogurt container or something, or sour cream or whatever, some kind of plastic container, and then I use like a cotton swab to put it on. I also have some silicone lube, which apparently works pretty well as well. But it works really well. at Bricks in the Six, I had to do it to a number of models, like every few hours. Otherwise, they would start to have trouble. Too much like ABS dust accumulation and too much friction as the parts dry out. But it seemed to work pretty well. Okay, now to build a ugly stand. And I'm actually not going to care at all what this looks like at the moment. This is my pretty standard MO. I just want to build something that works first, and then we'll worry about making it pretty later. So I'm just going to pull out some pieces. So basically I want some kind of platform, yeah, that moves up and down, but also angles. So I've done this before. I can't remember with what, but it's not actually that hard to do. We do need a few parts. And again, I'm not really sure. We're going to have to just build one version of this. I'm just going to build a basic version, and then we'll see if it actually moves the way we want it to. Then we can refine it later. So I'm just going to build up some kind of Technic frame first. Mount these at the front. So I'm basically just using some pretty simple lift arms here. So we're going to build some kind of platform. So you can see, as if we imagine this rotates, the front of these Technic beams are obviously moving up and down, but they're also moving forward and backwards. And they will also angle. If I have these endpoints mounted at a fixed vertical height, which we can do with some more lift arms. And some more bricks. We'll get a couple bricks on the base here. We want these to be about the same height. Close enough. Again, we can make this work better later. I'm just going to tie these together. Stick a pin. So I'm basically supporting this on the back with some flexible lift arms, so that it can move back and forth. That might be a bit aggressive, I'm not sure. And they're not actually at the same height. It's actually a plate lower. Well, the back is a plate higher. So, and actually, depending on how we want the angle of attack of our... Okay. So actually, I'm just gonna... Again, we'll just stick the machine on and see what happens. So Mr. Leonardo didn't have any confidence in his design. No, he did not. Or let's just say he's smart enough to not use himself as a guinea pig. Oh, see, now this might be the... the most challenging or the most difficult part for the motor is probably going to be lifting the whole machine up and down, because it is pretty heavy. But let's stick a motor on that and see what it looks like. And this we definitely want to gear down because we're going to need some we're going to need some more power. So I'm just going to start 8-tooth to 24-tooth gear first. Stick that on. Got a motor going. And I'm just going to hold it on again. That's not bad. I think I'd rather have it go up and down more than back and forth. But whatever, we'll... And then in theory, we somehow need to make the wings flap at the same time. So that when it's at the height of its travel, the wings are down. And then as the wings should come down as it moves up. Or should I go I don't know if I should go this way or this way. Should I go this way? Oh, this way it just makes it look like it's going backwards, I guess. It would be easier, I think, though. So I want the wings up when it's down. Interesting. I might be able to just have some kind of control arm attached to the base. This way. If that's an answer to the question, then yeah, I do not know. Okay, so I need to push, I need to go back when it's going up. So when it's at the bottom, it should be all the way forward. Okay, yeah, so we're definitely going to need some kind of fancy converter going on here. Oh yeah, that's cool. It's cool. It should be... Ah! The other problem will be having the machine. But I think the bottom line is we will probably need a separate lift arm to control that. I don't know where we want to attach that. It'd be nice if it was all driven by like the same. Here we might get some complicated, funky, complex geometry going on. Or maybe it'll be super simple. Who knows? But are we happy with this? Actually, is it like too big? Actually, I'm going to try. It It is very pronounced, the range of motion. Which I guess isn't bad. Actually, it's not too bad when you look at the... It does seem to be a reasonable speed as well. Sorry, I'm just thinking in my head about how this might work. So we want some... Okay, so we are just going to try some things out here. And we will see what happens. Sometimes you just got to experiment. Leonardo knew that a human was not strong enough to power it, but this was an attempt to see if it could be done. Yeah. So first things first, I'm going to stick a lift arm on this. Everybody loves lift arms. And I have a feeling we need to extend this lift arm. Because right now it's too close to the axle. We're going to have a larger range of motion. So we're going to push the wings past there. If we extend the lift arm, then we have more range of motion to make it move. So I'm actually going to extend it. I'm going to extend it. We'll go a few studs for now. So that way, now you see this point here, this anchor point here, it's magnifying the range of motion of this. So instead of, let's say this goes back and forth like a couple studs, this endpoint now goes back and forth like 3 studs, maybe 4 studs. So we won't have an issue. And actually, I'm going to stick it on the other side. So it clears. Yeah, so now in theory, I could just try and anchor this point somehow to the base of the frame, and we will see if that will give us and this is pretty standard practice as well for what I usually do. Just trial and error. Try a bunch of different things until you get something that works. So I'm just going to add, like, let's say an anchor point here. I also have a feeling that we need to beef up some of these connection points. So let's say at the front of its motion, I want the wings to be this is not going to result in the exact movement I want, but let's say 5 studs. But the advantage of this technique will be that it is very easy to do. Sometimes easy is good. So I'm just going to anchor this control arm to the base. Oh, interesting, yeah. And actually the wings don't, they don't move as much as they need to. So if we anchor this a bit higher, we should get a slightly larger range of motion. Okay, stick a motor on it, see what happens. Actually, I'm just going to connect this motor a little more rigidly so that I don't have to hold it. Is that? No, I need another. One more plate. Definitely. That's too high. Oh, Eric's back. Looking good so far. Excellent, thanks. Interesting. Why is that so? Okay. So I don't know why that's a bit wonky, but I mean, it kind of looks good, but it's obviously the wings aren't actually flapping in the right. I also don't know why these are not. There's definitely something funky going on with this motor. All right. Circuit cubes will have to I guess we have better speed control with the M motor anyway. Obviously the wings are going up when it's like clearly not even remotely the right sequence of operations. The wings should go down when it's going up. So we're definitely going to have to do some shenanigans here. But still, proof of concept wise, obviously we need to adjust the timing quite a bit. But you know, this will work, I'm pretty sure. Seems reasonable. Looks like it's flying backwards, yeah. It is definitely, John hints, the movement is good, yeah. I think the movement of the... I think I would actually like these. I would like to try, as far as the angle of movement, I might lift these up like a plate. I think it might be interesting to have it lean more forwards on the downslope. So there are definitely some things that could be improved. For the phase of the wings, for one thing, is just completely off. So we're going to have to do something a little bit more elaborate in terms of our control system. Sometimes you luck out and you can just piggyback mechanisms off one another to get something to work, but looks like in this case we'll need a little bit more, something a little bit more elaborate than just a direct connection. I'm actually going to just leave these up a plate, just out of curiosity. Yeah, actually I kind of like that. It's very subtle, but you probably can't even tell on the, but it actually comes nose down a little bit more. So in theory, nose down, wings should be up. As we're coming up, the wings should come down. And then as we go down, the wings should go up again. So we need to translate the up and down movement to a side-to-side movement, which we can do with a basically with like a angled lift arm. So for example, if I have this lift arm anchored at the corner here, as this goes up and down, the short end goes side to side. So it's a really easy way of doing that. So I'm actually just going to use, I'm going to try first with these ones. The nice thing about the 3x5 lift arm is that if you need to magnify the movement or multiply the movement anyway, you can just change where you anchor. You know, if you anchor it on the far end of the long one and the short end of the, or the end of the short one, then basically you're multiplying your movement by, or dividing by 2. So if you move this one up and down by like 2 studs, the top one will go side to side by 1 stud. If you put your control point in the middle of this long part of the lift arm, it'll be 1 to 1. So moving this up 1 stud will move this over 1 stud. So you can adjust, if you adjust your magnification of the movement. Anyway, we're just going to try 1 to 1. And so we want to, this needs to go side to side. Based on the up and down. I guess we also want this whole thing sadly, because this whole thing moves side to side, we actually need to almost need to eliminate the side-to-side movement. We need to go opposite. Oh man, so we're actually fighting the natural Getting the natural motion of our stand. We have to basically go so if we just hold it manually, so as we go back, we need that whole arm to go back. Then we need to push forward, back, forward, back, forward, which means we really need to, wow, we really need to do yeah, it's almost a shame that it is so opposite. I guess if we actually go the other way, interesting, if we actually just rotate it the other way. Actually, whenever, did I try rotating it backwards? I think the motion of the okay, so a couple things I'm going to try here. One is, actually I just want to do the same thing we did, because you never really know until you exhaust all the possibilities. And we're just going to run it the opposite direction, just to see what we have looking at. Because I mean, it will be much easier if I can just keep this anchor system. Smarty ZI. Is this a Crash Assassin's Creed 2 machine? Yeah, pretty much. Motorized though. Yeah, interesting. That's not that bad. The movement of the actual machine isn't like... But it's actually kind of interesting, like on the downstroke of the wings, it's almost like pulling the model up and back. I think we can do some refinement. JB Aspen Forrester Lewis. Is the body motion in the wrong phase with the wing motion? Yeah, it's a bit off right now. I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, right now it's... yeah, it's a bit off. It's a bit out of phase. I think the bottom line is we do need basically two completely different control cranks, one for the wings and one for the body. Dave Hedges, the phase is better, but still looks off. Yeah, it's still a little bit off. And I think I would still rather have the machine go this way. Okay, so there's nothing for it but to actually create two separate control cranks. So we are going to do that. So in order to do that, I'm actually just going to build this out a little bit more. I'm just going to create, actually, we're just going to go full Technic gear train here. Just to make it work. And we might as well go full hog. So I'm going to create two of these. Again, we can slim this down later. But I think it'd be beneficial to create a nice solid gear train to give us a lot more stuff to work with here. Oh my god, my wings keep bending. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna have a crank. This is our crank. So I'm gonna separate this so you can see what's going on. Okay, come on, keep it together. Okay, so this is the crank that's going to control the raising and lowering of the machine. And we're gonna get a little gear train action. And then this is the crank that's gonna control. Okay, so I have two cranks here. Right now they're moving in, I mean, they're rotating in the same direction, but they're completely 180 degrees out of phase from each other. So we'll see how that works. And actually, I'm gonna guess we're gonna need them to be, you know, and this way we can really, actually it's pretty hard to do, but by just, you know, adjusting which teeth mesh between these two gears. For example, if I just move this like 3 teeth clockwise, now they're like, you know, 45 degrees out of phase. So just by changing the rotation of the gear, we can actually really fine-tune how much in phase or out of phase they are. Let's It's a bit annoying to adjust because I have to basically take it apart every time. But now, for example, they're like 90 degrees out of phase. I mean, let's see if this actually does anything useful. Unfortunately, oh yeah, of course, my control arm interferes with that. We'll actually need to separate this by only one stud out. I'm just gonna get a longer axle for this. Yeah, this should be more adjustable. Okay, so how high do I want this to be? Yeah, I guess that's the height. I also need this to be. Okay, I'm just going to try and put this back the way it kind of was. Yeah, okay. And then now comes the part where we just do a lot of trial and error. Of course, I do need, well, actually I need to remove it another. I need another stud of separation. Because we need another lift arm to connect there. In fact, I also need a bigger plate. Trial and error, so much fun. But when our Hamburg was asking about what I do, how much do I think about Lego? This is what most of my thinking of Lego involves. Why is my my face cam keeps resetting? It's so weird. Definitely some wonkiness going on. Okay, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Maybe not surely, but definitely slowly. Oh, Jake's got to go. See you later. Cheers. Thanks for popping in, man. It's good to see you. Hopefully, I'll post a video of this at some point. Okay, now we have our motor connected a little bit better too. Okay, but now they're completely within phase of each other. Which is not ideal. Actually, I'm just going to try 180 degrees offset. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, that is... It's going to be up. Ooh, the positioning of this is way off. Gotta get the hand crank involved. Oh yeah, that is gonna be... I think the biggest problem it's gotta be... So we want that to be fully to the front, and then up is going to be fully to the back. Yeah, it's interesting because sorry, I'm just trying to see where we need everything to be. It's gonna be back, which is easier said than done. Gotta get on with it. So that's got to be there. And then we're at the bottom. We want to be there. Ooh, actually, that's quite a bit. It's quite a bit of big range, actually. But we do want. So I think we want like 90 degrees out of phase. At the bottom, I want it to be back. And at the top, I want it to be forward. So that's actually pretty good. Well, actually, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. But I'm actually going to Unfortunately, this is too close to the trigger to... We actually need to move it forwards and backwards a little bit. Forwards or backwards. Otherwise, there's not enough room to put a lift arm in there. So at the bottom, I want it to be back. At the bottom, I want it to be back. Bottom, back. Bottom, I want it to be back. Okay, did I lose everybody yet? What does he want? Does he want it to fly properly? Yeah, obviously. Come on. It's gonna fly through the air. We're looking for perfection here. Well, no, we're not looking for perfection, but we're looking for something that actually, you know, looks reasonably decent. Which is easier said than done sometimes. It's a constant challenge to make things work. But I'm actually going to remove one of these gears. I think we can... So bottom, we want to be back. So I'm going to start with these 90 degrees offset, or approximately. We can't get exactly 90 degrees just because of the way the teeth are on these. There's a tooth at the cardinal position on each gear, so obviously you can't have them completely 90 degrees offset. We'll get pretty close. Okay. Then we are going to give a minute to read the chat. Yeah. Most exciting stream ever when I'm just sitting trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Okay, so now in theory we have some offset cranks. You know what happens most of the time, and I won't be surprised if it happens this time as well, is you do all this work trying to figure out to get something to work, and then of course it doesn't work. Then you do something else. Trial and error, eventually run out of errors. Yeah, true that. I have a feeling our range of motion here might be too big on this crank. I might have to get the... Oh yeah, range of motion's too big. Oh, we're exactly opposite, I think. We're getting somewhere though. Oh yeah, my range of motion's too big right now. So we're gonna use the cam trick again. But I think I'm backwards. Down, forwards. Down, forwards. Let's get some more cam pieces out. I mean, the other way I could try and solve that is by extending this. I could extend this lift arm even more so that our control point is even further away, which would also lower the range of motion of the actual wings. But we'll massage all that later at some point. I don't know, I probably want a 5 long axle. Step one is to get some kind of movement the way we actually want it to be. Oh yeah, see, this is not even remotely the right phase now. Interesting. So interesting. Oh, I mean, that is right up. Oh, it's because we're fighting against... Sadly, I think we need to... We're fighting against the movement of the actual machine as well. Which is very, very sad. What we actually have to do is we have to mount this crank on the actual part of the stand that's moving. Which is very interesting. Yeah, okay. I just think this strategy, having the crank driving the wings actually anchored to the stationary base, is not going to work. Because you're fighting the movement of the machine relative to the base as well. So it's actually pretty easy to solve, hopefully. We're actually just going to mount the crank driving the wings onto the platform, onto the actual moving platform. So I'm going to stick a gear here. So now we'll have a gear that's actually mounted onto the moving part of the platform. And then we'll add the gear train here. To actually drive the wings. And I think long term, this will be a much, much better strategy. And that way we can really control Ooh, that is definitely not gonna... we need our control arm to be... Yeah, again, spacing is going to be a fun problem, but not insurmountable. Again, we can... I'm just going to extend this out a bit. Again, I just want to bring my control arm one stud further out from the center line. In fact, I think I need it 2 studs out, but we might have to. Okay. Well, in fact, I think what I should have done Oh yeah, this will work a lot better, I think. One question, isn't the motor too heavy? I mean, the motor, it's not gonna fly. The motor will be firmly planted on the ground. Okay, at the bottom, I want the wings to be back. And at the top, I want the wings to be high. Excellent. But I'm going to put the gear train on the other side. Ah, the joys of prototyping. Aren't you glad you're along for the ride? I am 50% confident that eventually we'll get something that works. Confidence level, not super high. Oh my God, why is my base so... It's because that needs to be over more. Excellent. Okay. Gear. Gear, crank. Excellent. Okay. Down forward. Unfortunately, we still need another stud worth of separation. And I still think the range of motion. I still think we need to use the cam trick to get 2.5 studs. Sadly, these need to be anchored. I need to change my mounting a little bit here. Everything's a little bit too unstable. Okay. I still need to get the spacing right on these two. I think what I actually want to do is I want to mount this. Offset by 1. I guess I don't need that to be so long anymore either. Dave Hedges motor firmly planted on terra firma, the more firma, the less terra. Are we still live next Friday? Actually, I'm not sure about next Friday. Honestly, it's impressive to see the prototyping progress. Well, yeah. Well, I'm glad somebody enjoys it. Okay, obviously that's not going to work. Showing the number of small adjustments possible and the use of cranks and angle cranks is worth knowing. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Progress might be slow, but we are getting somewhere. It may not look like it. Okay. So up. We have motor at the back. Down, we have motor at the front. Okay. I just need to make one more adjustment to this before we can test this. I'm actually going to put a bent lever. We need the anchor point to be like further back. Because whenever you have a crank like rotating, you can't put what it's driving like right at that same position. It has to be offset a little bit so that whatever piston arm you have has room to actually like move. So we need to do that. This is my piston arm, and we're going to anchor it to the end of this lift arm. Okay, now my wing motion is a little bit subdued right now. We definitely need to, so actually I think I can, instead of using the, well actually I mean that is the, well actually it can go up a bit more. And now we can really fine tune, now that I have the crank mounted to the platform that's moving, that the thing is supporting, we can really fine tune the phase of the wings with the phase of the motion, overall motion. That's like really easy to adjust because we no longer have to fight against the motion of the actual machine as well. But I'm actually just gonna use full three long lift arms here. We're just gonna see what our range of motion is with that on the wings. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was afraid of that a little bit. We need to, well, actually, it's not bad. It's not bad right now. There's a little bit of tension just because yeah, I think we can make some minor improvements. Oh, in fact, what I want to do well, actually, no, I can't do that. Okay, no, that's actually pretty good. Pretty good. I still think there's quite a few small adjustments we can make, but now, in theory, the wings are flapping down to push the machine up. But they probably want to be at the very lowest end of their range of motion, like here. So we actually do want to change this phase a little bit so that they're at their lowest. Oh my God. We definitely need to definitely need to do some more shenanigans. In fact, I'm just gonna make another I'm gonna have a mighty gear train going on here. Okay. I want okay. Interesting. Up. It's not bad. It could be better though. But it's not bad actually. The wings, there's a little bit of play because I have so many linkages going on. But Bill, did you ever get the Harry Potter Hedwig? I never bought that. Oh, the owl. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did a whole modification to it. There's a whole video about it on my channel somewhere, buried in the history. I don't know how high these wings can go. That's probably about as high as they can. Anyway, it seems to actually work. I still think there's some like minor improvements that can be made. The phase is not bad. I guess I could actually be a little bit, the wings start, yeah, the wings start going down just as the machine lifts up. And then as the machine falls down, the wings go up again. I think maybe we can anchor this a bit higher, actually. So we have a slightly larger range of motion. And I think our phase is a little bit off. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So now there's one minor issue, is that because I've temporarily just put a whole string of like 4 gears in a row to get the rotation in the back here, which I think we can actually make some minor adjustments to how this gear train is laid out. And because of that, there's actually a lot of slop in the gear system. So you can hear it click. That's when all the backlash between all the gears is taken up. So as it goes around the like pressure point, it basically just jumps to take up all the space in the backlash between the gear teeth. But anyway, that's that's a thing. Let's stick a motor on it and we'll see what it actually looks like when we yeah, you can see it jumping. But I think the solution to that, I might actually mount the motor onto the platform that's moving. Then we can, yeah. But anyway, that's just some like minor reconfiguring of how the gear system works. But as far as functionality goes, it's actually not too, I'm pretty pleased with that. Dave Hedges, yeah, a lot of slop in the mechanism. Yeah, we definitely, yeah, so we definitely need to do something about that. I'm actually not, I'm actually going to try something. I think the movement of the actual machine is kind of exaggerated too. I'm actually going to try it with shorter lift arms to drive the movement of the actual flyer. Instead of 3 long lift arms, I'm gonna try 2 long lift arms. I don't think the flyer needs to be like so to move so exaggerated like. Oh yeah, see, it still looks, so now I've actually like lessened the movement of the flyer itself, which is not bad. But I feel like it's a little more subtle this way. Well, actually, I think running it the other way might actually be better. Like, if you can imagine when you're flapping forwards, you actually almost come back a little bit. And then when you're free fall, you move forwards. We'll lower the camera a little bit, maybe you can get a better view. Are you interested in aviation, Brian the Brick? I mean, casually, yeah. I'm not like a super fan or anything, but I've definitely built my fair share of aviation-related models. I built a little Pursuit of Flight version of the Wright brothers plane at some point. I do love Da Vinci and all his things. I obviously built my own Da Vinci inspired flying machine in the past. Dave Hedges, but it works and you can be adjusted and know where to improve. Prototyping as it should be, yeah. So I think this is a great end of a prototype for sure. We've got our basic motion. I can, still slightly adjust the phase of the wings. I'll probably try it like, just a few degrees one way or the other just to see how it works. But I think the overall motion of the machine is pretty good. The motion of the wings is pretty good. In fact, I think it's almost the full range of motion as the original model has, which is pretty awesome. The only real thing that needs to be addressed is the slop in the... we'll have too many gears in this gear train. Which we can definitely try and fix. In fact... Yeah, actually, I think with these shorter cranks, I can actually move the... piston driving the wings much further forward, like maybe on the second gear only instead of the fourth gear. That'll remove the slop a lot. And then we can just, change some of the lift arm anchoring positions and such. And we can definitely get it to be a little bit more smooth, I think. Machu, it seems there's a little late between the wings motion and the plane motion. I don't know whether it's a problem with synchronization or a problem with speed difference between the two. It's definitely a synchronization problem, which can be easily addressed. Although I think it's actually not bad. It's not bad. Let's get the hand crank on again and see. Like the wings go down. They pretty much reach the bottom of their travel at the apex of the position of the body. I mean, in theory, I guess they could start moving down a little bit sooner. A little bit sooner would be rotating clockwise. Even more, maybe. Oh yeah, we'll try that. It's like 2. Oh yeah, maybe that's a little better, eh? How much do you know about modern planes? They have jet engines? Not a super ton. Great work and very clever. Delay. Oh man, not late, yeah. Let's try and run it the other way again, though. What do you prefer? Forwards? Okay, we'll call this forwards. And backwards. Actually, forwards might be a bit better, right? Oh yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And Versalo, I prefer the forwards motion since it does look like a machine itself gets lift from the wing movement. Forwards looks more correct, yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree now that I look at it. Oh, anyway, it's not too bad. Actually, I'm pretty happy with how it works. Maybe a little bit of fine-tuning. Obviously, we need to make the base look a little bit more less technic and more pretty. But we'll see how that goes. Okay, I guess that's all I wanted to do today. I think we made some good progress. Who knows when I'll have time to pretty this up a little bit, but I'll try and maybe... yeah, make it, I'll tinker with it a little bit more. But, okay, what did we learn today? Today we learned how to make things move. Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, so I think we'll call it a day there. I'll do some tinkering with this in the future a little bit. Thanks for everybody for watching. Brian the Brick, I'm eating a salad right now. Excellent. It is definitely lunchtime. Time to eat. Thanks for Eric and our Hamburg for modding as they could. Would you be able to use transparent parts to make it look like it's flying above whatever you made the base look like? I mean, we could definitely like anchor the bricks that support the machine itself can definitely be made transparent. The control arms, I mean, they don't have a lot of, they do have transparent lift arms in like 15 long, but otherwise we're stuck with whatever colors we have. But yeah, we can definitely pretty it up a little bit more, I think. I think we can also maybe lift the machine a bit higher. Like right now I have it 4 bricks above the platform, but I think we can do it a little bit better. Or maybe make it a little bit higher so there's a bit more separation between the platform and the machine. These are all things that I will tinker with in the future. Yeah, we'll pass. Sorry, I started started rambling again. Okay, that's it. Maybe the problem is precisely the 2 positions. Lowest position of the plane and top position of the wings must not be exactly adjusted in order to improve the feeling of impulse. Yeah. Lift the whole thing higher, yes. Yeah, okay. Anyway, great suggestions. I will tinker with it a little bit more. Thanks for everybody for watching. Thanks for our Hamburg and Eric for moderating. I'm going to turn this on and we'll let it run for like a few seconds. So if anybody wants to jump to the end of the video in the future, they can see it in action. Otherwise, we will see you all, I don't know about next week, either next week or the week after. Hope everybody has a great week or two. Cheers.